We are making a triple threat dessert, what I like to call an apple crisp cheesecake. So it's basically all of the things you love about an apple crisp. You've got that soft sort of caramelly apple, a crisp, all on a cheesecake. And it is incredible. When I made this last week for a get together, I was told it was the best cheesecake ever. So I cannot wait to share it with you. I cannot even begin to tell you how delicious the cheesecake base itself is, which is my standard cheesecake base that I made for my lemon cheesecake back in the summer. And I'm using that same base for this, and it's so good. But we're gonna start with the apple filling first. I've got a little bit of butter, and to that I'm going to add some brown sugar. And I'm just gonna melt the two together. You can go ahead and really add your apples now, it doesn't really matter. I've got a couple of apples that I have diced up. You can use any apple that you want. I don't love to use a red delicious apple when I am cooking, but a HoneyCrisp is always my go-to. And I'm just gonna go ahead and let that cook and get all kind of, the butter starts to melt, the sugar starts to melt, the juices of the apple start to come out, and it makes this really delicious syrupy situation. So once it begins to get there, I'll show you the next step. They're looking gorgeous. It's been a couple of minutes. You obviously don't want to turn these to mush, but you want to add a good splash of vanilla. And then at this point, I'm going to add my cinnamon. I'm going to cook these together like another, shall we say, maybe like a minute or two. Not very long, but just long enough to soften them. All right, even though there's not much liquid, that's too much for my liking because it's gonna create sogginess in my cheesecake. So we're gonna add in a cornstarch slurry, which is just a teaspoon of cornstarch and a tablespoon of water. And that will immediately thicken that up. So let that just cook for like 30 seconds and then I'm just gonna turn it off and let it cool a bit until I need it. Let's make the crust. I've got some ground Graham Cracker Crumbs and just a touch of sugar. I'm gonna mix those two together. To that, I'm gonna add some melted butter. And I'm just gonna use a spatula to mix it all together. I also have a 9-inch springform pan ready. I've sprayed it with my nonstick spray just to ensure that everything will come out just right. And then once this is incorporated well enough, which looks about right, just about, sprinkle that in. Reserve this bowl, don't even bother washing it because that's where we'll make our topping. And get this evened out with your hands. And then you can just use the back of your hands to press it in place. Sometimes you can even use like a little cup or a measuring cup to press it into place. Whatever makes you feel. That looks pretty good to me. Now I'm gonna pop this into the oven. My oven's already been preheated to 350. I'm gonna pop this in for 15 minutes and then in that meantime, we will make the filling. Okay, I'm gonna make this in my standing mixer, adding 4 blocks of softened cream cheese. There's a little graham cracker on it. It's totally fine. I know there's a lot of moving parts to this recipe because there's a main filling, a crust, and whatever. It's so worth it. The great thing is a cheesecake you make the day before you need to eat it. So it's not something that you need to make last minute. Cream this for just like a minute to get it going. Adding in the sugar, letting that mix. Make sure you clean the sides of the bowl periodically to make sure everything is well combined. I'm gonna let that mix with the sugar for like 30 more seconds. Add in the eggs. You can do one at a time. And then along with that, a good splash of vanilla. A good pinch, well, not a good pinch, but like a pinch of salt. And your sour cream. And that's gonna mix for a bit. I want it to be very smooth, very well incorporated. And when it's there, I will show you. And then the last part is just to make the topping, and that's it. Making the topping really quickly, and I just mixed together some some flour and brown sugar. To that, I'm gonna add a splash of butter, and I'm gonna use melted butter. For whatever reason, I'm liking this method. I feel like it just makes the whole thing just easy to like sprinkle on top, and it gives me really good result. You see how you do that with a spoon? Look, if you just do like a whirlpool method, it kind of just makes it into a crumble shape. There's a method to my madness, I promise you. And that's it. Now that part's done. Now everything's done. You got your topping, you got your cream cheese filling, you got your apples. The base is in the oven. You're ready to go. Now I want to talk to you really quickly about, this is a liner for cheesecake. So I'm going to put my springform pan in here because you're going to need to cook your cheesecake or bake your cheesecake in a water bath. Now, if you don't have this, you just use a few layers of aluminum foil and wrap it around the base of your springform pan so that no water comes through the pan and ruins your cheesecake. This is one of the best inventions ever on the planet Earth. So that's what I'm using, putting it into a bigger container so that it is ready to get the cheesecake and the water poured around the side. So now that everything's ready, I'm waiting for my base and then we'll put it all together. Crust is ready. You can see it's lovely and golden. It smells so good in here. Now I'm gonna take my gorgeous foolproof. If you wanted to make just a plain cheesecake, it would be this and this. And I promise you it'll be the best cheesecake you've ever had. Anyone that has my cheesecake will literally say, the base is just the best cheesecake base ever. The custard is so good. It tastes so good. I'm like, listen, and it is so simple. So simple. It's just the right ratio, you know? Okay, pour that in there. Smooth it out best you can. Don't really worry about it. Okay, now you're gonna take, you can see I put it in the little liner. Take your apples and you're kind of gonna put them in like that. Don't worry about, you don't want to sink them all the way down the cheesecake. I like keeping them kind of like on the surface because then it meets the crisp, because I like that bite of apple and crisp all together. Just think it hits different, you know? And this was just only 2 apples, but like, look at how much it makes. And now I'm just gonna take this crumble little topping, just sprinkle it over the top. Like that. I like to leave the edges kind of bare, like with the cheesecake filling, you know? Okay. I am going to pour water in here. It's got to come up about halfway. I just find it much easier to do this right before, as it's going into the oven, otherwise it spills. And that will bake in the water bath for about an hour and 15 to an hour and 20 minutes. So keep an eye on it. You want the top to be a lovely golden. The center should still have a little give and the edges should be really nice and set. Once it's there, you're gonna let it cool to room temperature, then pop it in the fridge overnight. It does need overnight, 8 hours if you don't have overnight, but preferably overnight. Once it's there, I will show you what it looks like, and it is a masterpiece. Cheesecake has been in the fridge overnight and it is stunning. You can see the edges are slightly golden color. The custard is set. The top has a lovely bit of texture. Now, mine cooked for about an hour and 10 minutes. So if yours starts to look a little bit brown around the 40-minute mark, make sure you tent it with some foil so that it doesn't continue to overcook. It is making my mouth water. I broke a little piece over here, but that's okay. I'm gonna cut a slice of this. It is so luxe, just you wait. Just you wait. I like to clean my knife in between. I'm gonna cut a little slice. Oh yeah. Look at this. Look at that. It's truly a thing of absolute beauty. I don't like a dry cheesecake, so please don't overbake your cheesecake. My mouth is literally watering. I love a perfectly set like custard cheesecake. The apples are there. The crust is the perfect thickness. The top is just gonna give you a hint of texture that, you know, resembles, what's it called? An apple crisp. You cannot even imagine. Go to laurainthekitchen.com. Please make it. It'll be your favorite cheesecake of all time. At least your favorite fall cheesecake of all time. Hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.